So 2 weeks ago, we had a mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio. You can find all sorts of information about that, but recently, a one of our local news stations posted an article about how there was a demand for mental health resources for not just the individual survivors of the attack itself, but for the community as a whole. And predictably, in the comments, one of the most upvoted ones was uh, air quotes, suck it up, Buttercup. And if that sounds not cool, that's probably because it's not. And yeah, so in this video, we're going to talk about trolls for a minute, especially, with these mass events where we get really dismissive comments and kind of bootstraps comments. And yeah, we're going to talk about trolling for a minute. And what I would like to start with is the fact that I could be linking DSM, which would be the diagnostic material, or articles about, you know, childhood defiant disorders and how they evolve into adulthood, and antisocial spectrum disorders, because that's likely what we're looking at with people that are, day after day, just your garden variety nasty trolls. And I don't think I need to qualify that too much because we all know the difference between people making crummy comments and people that just operate on a spectrum that is entirely antisocial. And that's not a bad way to look at it. If you look at people that are just operating on an antisocial spectrum, that means that they're not being pro-social, they're being antisocial. That's something that might get missed when you're just looking at buzzwords. But pro-social behavior would be supportive, and antisocial behavior would be more oppositional, and not just simply on a not just simply in a way where the status quo is unhappy, because there's plenty of pro-social people that are oppositional to the status quo. It more has to do with the fact that antisocial behavior doesn't look after the well-being of the community or their peers. So it should be, I would like to be clear that even while these people stand out online, uh, there there is no majority of trolling in online spaces. They're just very loud. The majority of commenters, much less the majority of people, are pro-social. Antisocial people just stand out, and they could be 1 in 10,000, 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million. It doesn't matter. Um, you know, that level of kind of minor attention getting is always going to stand out because it's very bombastic, and it's not. It doesn't look like other people's behavior, so it will definitely stand out. And moving on from that, there's more benign reasons for trolling other than something implying pathology. Other reasons for trolling involve winning social acceptance or internet points by being as offensive as possible. And that's kind of vetted in interviews. It's all qualitative data with X trolls, where, yeah, you can gain acceptance into other communities even while you're being antisocial to kind of the main one. And in this case, a community that's mourning, a mass tragedy. You can gain points by being dismissive of that and using irreverent, hateful language to kind of endear yourself to, I guess, a community of like-minded people that may enjoy offensive topics. We also have self-esteem issues, latent post-traumatic stress syndrome, and anxiety conditions, and all those require some maintenance. And that maintenance may be trollish behavior, and that could be demonstrated either by defending antisocial behavior or engaging with it. So you might be people, who say it's just free speech, and how dare you fire back at people who are just processing things differently, and that's valid to a point from an academic point of view, but yeah, there's really not a lot of specific framework to be used supporting trolls. So what if we're talking about people that have sincerely held beliefs that are like, suck it up? Like, no one needs mental health services, even while, one half of the culture is being like, we don't need gun control, we need mental health services, and the other half is being like, we don't need gun control or mental health services. So it's just, I won't try and break that down because that's a policy discussion. So that's fine, but sincerely held beliefs that are like, suck it up, they're rarely oppositional or violent or antagonistic unless something else is kind of at play. So you can have those sincerely held beliefs, but you would rarely use them in a public setting. And while you might have an axe to grind that fits in with normative social psychology, persistent trolling in vulnerable situations and using direct threats against people that are already vulnerable typically, expresses to us that there's something else going on with the individual. That, if you're trolling survivors of a mass shooting, then you probably have something extra beside the point going on that has to do with, I don't know, your own sense of vulnerability, that you don't like the fact that other people are expressing vulnerability in public. So to keep this brief, not coming from a clinical perspective, we shouldn't be looking at online trolls as if they're these poor, misguided people who deserve our pity, or people that deserve treatment offhand, or don't even deserve our malice. Like, I'm not sure that they necessarily deserve our anger. We just need to know that they are operating on a level of illogical thinking. And by illogical thinking, I mean that they're not judging, especially mass tragedies, violent events, by any sort of criteria that we can relate to them on. And that's going to be difficult when it comes to having conversations and dismissing them, especially when they make trollish comments online. Yeah, but that's the point, is that illogical thinking exists, and it's definitely important to call it out, especially when it's given a megaphone. Not just a microphone, but a megaphone in online spaces. So, yeah, thank you.